immigration promotion, and so forth. The representatives that would come, they say, that's just not true. ICE doesn't go there. ICE doesn't do this. But they'll hear sporadically here and there, ICE came to the court. ICE came here. They picked this person up. These things do happen. So essentially, what it is, people are just untrustworthy. They're just not trusting anyone because they don't really know who and what to believe. So we just have to accept it, and because of those types of reasons that the community members have, I feel that it's my duty to come out as a community member and try to inform as many of my community members as I can so that they won't get ripped off. People have been getting ripped off for a long time. One of my family members got ripped off because she had a difficult case, and she says, oh, we found this person. He worked for USCIS for like all these years, and he's going to help me to get my green card. And I'm like, wow. I read Kerr's bands, I checked LexisNexis, I did this, and I can't really find any relief. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know who this person is, but if you could just give me their number, if they're really able to help you, maybe, I have some other clients I could send to them so that they could help them. Now, the thing is, when these people file these applications and they submit the applications to USCIS, once the form is completely filled out and the form is signed and the fee is correct, they'll take your application and it will appear as though it's going through. You may get your biometric appointment, you may get your work authorization, because at that point, and maybe now, from what the adjudicators have said, the amount of applications have increased. Recently, they said that it has decreased. But once your application is there, it's close to the time of the interview that they start reviewing it, or they might review it at the time of the interview. So then when you go to your interview, now you have the issue, now it comes up, now it's a problem. And the way that USCIS is now able to issue the notices to appear and put you into removal proceedings, they may well do so, because you don't know what this person has put on your application. And now you're worse off, you're being removed. So that's like a real bad situation. A lot of people have moved to Canada because Canada will welcome you at the border. If you're young, if you're educated, they'll take you. You're good. They have like two problems in Canada. Like the US, they don't want anybody who's committed any kind of crime, or unless it's some minor traffic violation, stuff like that. But the other thing that they're big on, if you're gonna be using up their healthcare system, you're not staying there. You are not staying there. They will not take you, okay? Meanwhile here, you could come in, I had a client like that, come in, you need dialysis. That's on a regular basis. But that's to save a life, because without dialysis, you're gonna die. So you could, even though you're gonna be consuming a lot of health care, you could work in the community while you're on dialysis, to offset it, but you'll still be able to come in. I doubt if that same person would be able to get admitted in Canada. So this is how it is. And President Trump wants to eliminate some of the legal means for you to immigrate. Like US citizens filing for their sons and daughters, he wants to have a cutoff. So it's like maybe, I don't know what year he wants, like if they're 30 or older, you can no longer sponsor them. So he wants to do all of these kinds of changes and put some kind of system like they have in Canada, some kind of point system and stuff like that. So these are some of the plans that he has. But we have to be diligent. The internet is there for you to use it to do your own research. You don't have to go to the library. Try to do that and try to get as much information as you can. Any other questions? I know the gentleman here had a question.
Yeah. In terms of ICE, now I know that ICE could come to your door knocking and provide a summons that comes from Homeland Security, which is different from an actual judicial summons, which says that you have to, or you're bound to come. So in terms of ICE providing certain paperwork, coming to your door knocking, what is the response in terms of dealing with ICE in that way? Because ICE is just an arm of Homeland Security. They're not even really a part of the FBI or the police service or the federal agency in terms of having the authority to just grab you.
Well,
take you from your home. Like if you come to a locked door and they knock and they ask if this person is here. So I want to know the procedure to how to deal with ICE in terms of that. If you're physically out in the street, it's something different. But if you're home and they come knocking on the door, what should be your response?
Okay, well, all right, if they come to your house, okay, unless they have a warrant, like you said, that's signed by a judge, okay, you don't have to comply with them at that point when they come to your house, okay? What you do, you do not let them into your house, okay? If anything, you want to go outside and deal with them if they're going to take you, all right? But do not let them in, because whoever else is there, you've opened the door for all of them. They'll inspect and they'll interrogate everyone that's in that apartment, that house, okay? So you don't want that. You don't want to let them in unless you absolutely have to. And whatever summons that they have, tell them push it under the door so that you could check it. Make sure it's the right address. Make sure it's the right name. Make sure there's no other defects or anything else on that warrant that they're gonna provide to you. Okay? So, and you don't want to say anything to them because anything you say can and will be used against you. So don't say anything. Ask to speak with your attorney so that they know that you have an attorney or you want an attorney to represent you. Unfortunately, in immigration proceedings, they're not like criminal proceedings. ICE is one of the agencies under the Department of Homeland Security, and they're primarily delegated to enforce the immigration laws. So if they stop you outside, you do not want to give them your passport. Okay, do not give them your passport because then they won't. They'll use that and they'll process whatever they have to process and they'll send you out. They may not even tell the your government that where they're sending you that they're doing this whole proceeding. So you don't want to do that either. You don't want to say anything to them about any immigration matter or anything else, and you want to definitely tell them that you want an attorney, okay? Like I was saying, for criminal cases, the government has to provide you with an attorney. But for immigration cases, you have to get an attorney on your own expense. So you have to pay for that. So that's one of the hardships that you have to deal with immigration matters. And to leave the country in that way, you may not be able to come back. Or if you were to leave the country, you may be fearing persecution. You may have other issues that may prevent you from coming back permanently. So that's what you do. The same thing if they were to come on your job and they were to find you there as well. So those are the things that that you would have to do to try to protect yourself. And pretty much that's all that I could really say, because the next step they may detain you, and then you'll go through the whole process and you'll see what relief you could get, what they're charging you with in terms of deportation, whether it's a crime where they have mandatory detention, where you must be detained, they don't have any choice, or they may detain you because they want to detain you for whatever the reason. Okay, to make it more difficult for you. Maybe you can't afford an attorney to let you to get out. Maybe you can't afford to pay a bond or something like that. So that's the situation. It's difficult, but that's just how things are at this time. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My daughter and myself, our temporary green card is almost expired. So is there a time frame to reapply for 10 years?
Yeah, you have to remove the conditions on the green card. You have to file the application to remove it.
So, do we need I used to live with my wife, but we're still married anyway.
Well, we could talk about your personal matter outside of this conference. If you're talking about someone else.
No, myself.
No, well, I'm saying for yourself, for your own privacy, we could discuss it separately, but I'll address it generally. When you have a conditional visa, you have to remove the conditions from the green card. And you have to file the I-751 to do so, okay? So either you're filing it jointly with your spouse and you're producing whatever additional evidence. You have a new child now. So we show in immigration, we got married, it was less than 2 years, but now we have a child. So they're gonna say, oh, that's great. So you guys consummated your marriage, it seemed like you have a legitimate marriage, okay? No, I said I-751.
I-751?
Yeah, I-751.
Okay.
Okay, so you could do it jointly, all right? If you can't do it jointly because your spouse separated or no longer wants to help you with it, then you'd have to find other means of doing it. One of them is you have to get a divorce from your spouse and then say that you had a marriage, you have a divorce, and your spouse doesn't want to contribute to it, and you file it based on that way.